This is a story that discusses the struggles endured and the changes inhibited by this lake. This will be representing key elements contributing to the pollution and human activity that resulted in the destruction that occurred over a short time span over a century. Deforestation is a major factor leading to the battle of heavy amounts of contaminants that consist in sedimentation. This is an interpretation depicting a crucial timeline that reveals the truth of the real causes to the resulted in toxic pollutants that are infecting our essential resource to thrive to reserve for a desperate time. This is our story. This is Lake Tahoe.
Lake Tahoe exists on the border between Nevada and California in the Nevada mountain region. The lake exists at a surface elevation of 1,877 meters and has a depth of 501 meters. Being a very large lake, it has the surface area of 150.68 kilometers cubed. Large populations surround the lake in both Nevada and California, including Truckee, California, Sacramento, California, South Lake Tahoe, California, Reno, Nevada, and Minden, Nevada. Lake Tahoe is a glacially formed lake. This means that the Tahoe Basin was carved away by the retreat of glaciers thousands of years ago. When the glaciers melted, the large flow of water filled the basin, creating the present Lake Tahoe. Lake Tahoe is the second deepest lake in the U.S. The largest lake is Crater Lake in Oregon, which is 92 meters deeper at a depth of 593 meters. Lake Tahoe is the largest alpine lake in North America and the 26th largest lake in the world. Being an alpine lake means Lake Tahoe is located at a high altitude in the Nevada mountain region. Alpine lakes are generally clear because high altitudes create low water temperatures, which slows algae growth.
Clarity is an ongoing conflict with health concern in Lake Tahoe's recent years, with evidence that has shown a steady decline in lake's productivity. One of the major contributors to the problem within the lake's aquatic environment is that it has been flooded with an abundance of Asian clams. This invasive species consumes the majority of the readily available nutrients, starving all surrounding native species. This disrupts the delicate food chain significantly. The waste from the Asian clams creates the massive algal blooms, with the result of nearly 100 times higher levels of algae where the clams lay than anywhere else in the lake. This creates an advanced algae species developing a different habitat to support a new variety of species within an aquatic environment. Approximately one-third of the transparency in Lake Tahoe has disappeared, and studies have shown that 20 years ago that the transparency was measured with a sucky disc was averaged at 40 to 30 meters, and today it is recorded at 20 meters of transparency. The influence of these readings from the outbreak of the Asian clams in Lake Tahoe have been researched and determined to be directly linked to human activity. For example, transported on the bottom of marine vehicles by entering the basin from vast distances invaded from these species. Some of the ways that have been useful through methods of trial and error to eliminate the Asian clams is by rolling 2 pieces of half-an-acre rubber mats along the bottom of the lake. These are used to help suffocate the Asian clams and have been proven to be effective in many parts of the lake. By the result of urban development, it creates a substantial crippling effect on the water's quality within Lake Tahoe's aquatic environment.
Blocks creating the Carlson Range, which is on the east, and the Sierra Nevada, which is on the west.
It has had a devastating effect on the lake's ecosystem.
Lake Tahoe, one of the most beautiful and diverse places on the earth. It's a very special place. There's something pure about it. The lake is crystal clear, the sky is blue, the air is fresh.
5% of the
Capture the true essence of this.
Wetlands have been lost due to the expansion of human development. Phosphorus levels are high in results directly connected through air pollution, sediments, and fertilizers. Air pollution is a direct result by marine and land-operated vehicles,
Then in 1955, on Christmas Eve, the road let go again. A 600-foot avalanche completely wiped out the road. This time, it took over a year to blast out.
Services, road salt and vehicle leakages, runoff due to erosion, deforestation,
unspoiled,
and contaminants
but the
found in
silver
soils.
discovery in Virginia City several
Fertilizers are a
years
major
later
contributor
changed
of
all that,
phosphorus
unleashing a hunger
into
that would
lakes from
devastate
lawns,
the
farms,
basin's
and
forests.
wastewater. Rehabilitation has been constructed through the decommission of old logging roads used in the early 1950s from settlers to reduce sedimentation throughout the lake's basin.
Must be done carefully
Forest Services
to minimize
is
soil
working to
disturbance.
reduce contaminants by creating stream channels, by creating barriers to rebuild a type of artificial filtration system. Sedimentation is caused by deforestation, vehicles, urbanized areas, and wildfires that increase the development of erosion. Promoting natural fires has been recorded to be most effective method to increase the density
The samples are
of the
used in over
surrounding
20
forest
different studies.
to reduce
They are
forest
carefully
fires.
cataloged and
This is
analyzed
also
for
achieved by
chemicals
the
like
thinning of
benzene,
the forest by
MTBE,
using
mercury,
minimizing
for
soil
organisms like
techniques
algae
to
and plankton,
create a
and
lessened
for
footprint. The restoration of the basin for the Lake Tahoe is a key goal to help achieve results that increase the health and activity of the lake. Lake Tahoe is used in many examples as a teaching tool to record and monitor lakes to prevent similar results in aquatic environments.
test plots at various locations
By
around the
promoting
basin
a better
reveal
understanding of
20
how to
to
control the
25%
activity
of Tahoe's
interacting with
forests
the lake,
are now
it
dead.
is readily easier to determine key aspects. Collaboration of all government officials and organizations to help protect the resource provided by Lake Tahoe is important to the restoration of the ecosystem.
Lake Tahoe is an alpine lake surrounded by mountains, so it acts as a basin for all the surrounding area.
The
When it
Comstock's
rains or when snow
appetite was
melts, runoffs are
short-lived
formed into
but
streams and
voracious.
rivers,
In
which
roughly
flow down
30
mountains and through
years, over
neighboring
two-thirds
towns,
of the
where they
basin's
pick up
forests were
harmful
logged,
chemicals like
and
gasoline,
close to 2
oils,
billion board feet
pesticides,
of lumber
or even
consumed.
agricultural runoff.
Enough wood.
In Tahoe's past, European settlers began to settle around the lake in the middle of last century. Following their arrival 30 years later, approximately two-thirds of the forest was knocked down and logged for the Comstock era, used to support mining in Virginia City. Back then, this lake was surprisingly clear due to the lack of nutrients available for such a large water lake. But in recent years, as development increased, so has pollution, which sent nitrogen and phosphorus levels skyrocketing. This allows phytoplankton and algae
They were built
to
by
use these
timber
nutrients,
companies. They
creating
were intended
algal
for
blooms.
subdivisions, logging,
These
not
blooms
built to Forest
use
Service
up a lot of
standards. So
oxygen
we're dealing
from
with that legacy of
photosynthesis
road
and
building that
transpiration,
occurred in the 50s and
leaving
60s.
some areas without barely any oxygen at all, directly affecting all aquatic life in the area.
One consequence of large development in the basin was the loss of many populations of trees. The reduction of trees can be seen directly in the water because the trees act as buffers for the lake, creating a barrier for contaminants.
Hermit, and Emerald
Development has brought sources
was
of
the name
contaminants
finally
such as
stopped.
road salts. Road salts are another source of
As we
contamination
pass
that
the
affects
summit,
trees,
look
among
close
others.
and you will see a
The shape of the basin is also a factor that affects tree populations because there are mountains surrounding the whole area.
Tracts of forest
This
die
means
back.
any runoff
The
will
real
greatly
threat
affect the tree
is
populations. As you can see from this
Ironically,
graph, the sources
years of suppressing
contamination
fire in the
affect
Sierra
downhill
Nevada
populations
has created a
significantly
menace.
more than the uphill populations of trees. One factor that can eliminate high areas of tree population is a wildfire. Wildfires have devastating effects in the Lake Tahoe region because of its large tree population.
In the thinning prior
and the
to a
high
prescribed
rate
burn,
of
the
transfer
Forest
of
Service is
nutrients into
favoring
the lake from the burning forest. Another problem that wildfires present is that they expose the soil and increase the risk of erosion
When we
into the
first
lake.
move into an area, people get concerned about
The decrease of tree populations in the Lake Tahoe Basin area has presented other problems to the lake, such as sediments. Sediments can make their way into lakes fairly easily. The presence of development means that activities such as construction can cause sediment inputs in the lake. Another source of sediment is through water inputs, where the sediment is carried in running water and deposited into Lake Tahoe. Normally, the trees would act as a buffer for some of these sediments, decreasing the total input into the lake. But the decrease in populations mean that more sediments are entering the lake.
The analysis of Lake Tahoe has shown that the current state of the lake is lower than it has ever been in history. The problems with the lake need to be addressed immediately, and a solution has to be reached soon. It is clear that the development, thus far, has decreased the quality of the lake's water, making it more susceptible to turbidity more than ever. Another serious concern that affects turbidity is algae growth, which has substantially increased in recent years because of the increase in water temperature, which also affects the way sun rays penetrate through the photic zone, warming these particles. Efforts are being made to improve the health and diversity of Lake Tahoe's ecosystem for future use.